the purpose of encouraging like children or students to eat a healthy, balanced diet is to ensure a healthy, balanced lifestyle. There is no problem with this. However, when it comes to like when the motive is to reduce food wastage and when it's not in the benefit of the children's health, then this is where the delegate has a problem with the sub clause.
Right to reply.
Granted.
The delegate believes that although the delegate of Portugal did say that it was to reduce overeating or undereating to reduce food wastage, he does agree with her in that children in today's society have now become used to eating a lot of food and wasting, and children need to be taught with a strong hand that they should not be overeating and wasting food, as this impacts the world greatly and can have negative impacts for the future.
Thank you, Delegate.
The delegate understands the delegate of Russia's point of view. However, the delegate does not agree that we should tell children to reduce their eating habits or increase their eating habits to save like food. Even though yes, it is beneficial to their health. However, the delegate does not encourage such. I think.
Would the delegate of Greece please rise and state their point? Also, sorry, but when I list the people who will rise to state their points, you guys should just follow like naturally, if that makes sense.
Okay. Does the delegate of France not believe that it is in national interest for a country to promote scientifically healthy eating habits to the children of their population?
Sorry, can the delegate state their question because I lost connection?
But the delegate of France, so you would ask that to me, the chair?
Yes. This is that.
Okay, so just clearly state, chair, could you? Okay, just for future reference.
Okay.
Would the delegate of Greece please restate their question?
Does the delegate of France not believe that it is in national interest for a country to promote scientifically healthy eating habits to the children of its population?
Chair, sorry, I lost connection again. I didn't understand.
All right. One more time. Would the delegate of Greece please restate their question?
Does the delegate of France not believe that it is in national interest for a country to promote scientifically healthy eating habits to the children of its population?
Do you guys hear? Oh, yes. Yes, the delegate believes that it is of course in national interest for children to be eating healthy, to preserve their own health. However, the delegate does not agree.
Yeah, delegate, sorry, you cut out and we couldn't hear you.
Sorry.
Motion to move to previous question, Chair.
Denied.
Okay, I'll repeat my answer. The delegate, of course, believes that eating healthy is in the national interest of the whole country and in its population. However, the delegate believes that the motive should not be to reduce food wastage. It should be for the benefit of the children themselves or the population themselves. However, that is not the topic that we're discussing right now. Right now, we're discussing food wastage. So the issue that I have is that the motive would be to reduce food wastage. The delegate does not believe that reducing food wastage should lead to governments controlling the children's eating habits.
Right to reply?
Granted.
The delegation of Greece does not believe that this resolution aims to control what children are eating, but rather to promote healthy eating habits, which in turn would help reduce food wastage.
Would the delegate please state that as a question?
Does the delegate of France not believe that promoting healthy eating habits would reduce food wastage?
The delegate does not see how it directly affects food wastage. However, the delegate sees how it might help in reducing food wastage. However, that will not necessarily be a result.
Would the delegate of Ethiopia please state their point? Can the rest of you hear or see the delegate of Ethiopia? Oh.
Earlier stated. The delegate of France earlier stated that they don't agree with this clause because it infringes on the privacy of the children and is controlling by the government. And the delegate, how is this the case when by Russia and by the delegate of Greece, this clause is merely stating that education, learning institute the children and not force them to disclose any personal information, or there would not be any punishments given to these children if they did not comply with a healthy eating habit, but it's merely for educational purposes.
The problem that the delegate has with this sub clause is not the consequences it will have upon the children that do not obey these healthy eating habits. The problem is with the motive itself. The delegate believes that the motive for eating healthy should be solely for the purpose of making children healthy or keeping their health or preserving their health. The delegate does not believe that a motive for eating healthy should be to reduce food wastage.
Right to reply.
Granted.
The delegate of Ethiopia, the delegate of France, that they understand that eating healthy should not be like a reason to reduce food waste, but is it not beneficial to add it in that if a child is educated on healthy and unhealthy eating habits, they could have a balanced diet and improve their food consumption as to not waste food?
Chair, can the delegate please repeat your question?
The delegate of Ethiopia, would you please repeat your question?
Okay, the delegate of Ethiopia understands the delegate of France's concern with the motives behind putting this clause in. But does the delegate of France not believe that if children are educated on a healthy or unhealthy eating habits and they have a balanced diet,
Point of personal privilege.
Yes?
The delegate cannot hear what the delegate of Ethiopia has said.
Yes, all right. The delegate of Ethiopia, could you perhaps turn off your camera just for this point of information and then turn it on after, and that might fix your internet connection?
Yes, the delegate of Ethiopia's internet connection is very poor and she can't hear everything that's being said.
All right. With your now that your camera's off, would the delegate please repeat their question to the delegate of France?
Okay, the delegate of Ethiopia understands the delegate of France's concern with the motives behind clause 4 subclause A subclause 3, but does the delegate of France not agree that by educating children on healthy and unhealthy eating habits, just as a suggestion on how to improve a balanced diet, do they not believe that that could improve the situation with food wastage?
The delegate believes that improving children's diets would make them healthy. Yes, of course, that delegate agrees in this part. However, the delegate does not see the direct correlation between how this would prevent food wastage, because if children eat food, they're not necessarily wasting it. So the delegate does not see how limiting people, like children's consumption, in general people's consumption, would reduce food wastage as food is not wasted if it's being consumed.
Thank you,
Right to
Delegate.
reply.
Denied due to time constraints.
Motion to extend points of information.
Seconded.
Granted. If there are any such points of information in the House, would the delegates please raise their placards now? The delegate of Portugal and then the delegate of Russia, you have been recognized in that order.
Does the delegate not believe for the better good of the environment, it's important to take all measures to reduce food wastage?
Yes, the delegate agrees that we should take all measures to reduce food wastage.
Point of personal privilege due to audibility.
The delegate.
All right. Will the delegate of France please respond to the question again?
Yes, the delegate believes that we should take measures, of course, to reduce food wastage.
Thank you.
The delegate of Russia would like to ask the delegate of France why they had not proposed that the amendment be changed, that the sub clause be changed to educating children on their diets rather than striking the entire clause, and believes that striking the entire sub clause is completely irrelevant as it does not help the situation.
Because the delegate believes that it should be removed, like as the whole. The delegate
Right to reply.
Granted.
The delegate of Russia is requesting you to elaborate, requesting the delegate of France to elaborate on this, as he believes to, quote unquote, to just strike the amendment, to just strike the subclause is not a full explanation of the matter.
Chair, I do not understand the question.
Would the delegate of Russia please rephrase their question?
The delegate of Russia would like to say that it is not a full explanation to say that the subclause should just be completely striked, and believes that your reasoning is not sufficient.
Okay, if the delegate wants me to explain again.
Sorry, delegate, would you please refrain from using personal pronouns?
Sorry, Chair.
Okay, if the delegate of Russia wishes delegate of France to re-explain why delegate wants to strike out this subclause, delegate will. Delegate wants to strike out this subclause because the delegate does not agree that governments should ask, or not governments, that in general, we should restrict people's consumption of food to reduce, for the motive of reducing food wastage. Delegate, of course, believes that having a healthy diet is for the benefit of all societies. However, the delegate does not believe that a motive for reducing food, that due to reducing food wastage, we should limit people's consumption, whether ask people to reduce their consumption or ask people to increase their consumption.
Right to respond, right to reply.
Granted.
The delegate of Russia would just like to remind the delegate of France that the clause clearly states it seeks to improve public awareness and is not outright changing or stopping children from eating more or less, and is just educating them on the matter.
Delegate of Russia, could you please state that as a question?
The delegate of Russia asks the delegate of France why she believes that we are asking children to change their diet completely when the clause clearly states that it only seeks to improve their public awareness and not change their diets?
Increasing public, like raising awareness for a specific cause, or asking people to do this this thing itself is practically the same thing, because by raising awareness you're asking people to do what what you're raising awareness for. So yes, maybe this might be not directly asking people to do to reduce their consumption or increase their consumption, but it is indirectly asking people to do that. So that it has a problem with the concept itself, not the way it's implemented.
Motion to move to previous question.
Denied. Thank you, Delegate of France. Do you yield the floor to the chair?
Yes, the delegate is the floor back to the chair.
Thank you. Again, we are in closed debate for this amendment. If there are any people wishing to speak for this amendment, please raise your placards now, hands. Given that there is no one wishing to speak for this amendment, we will move to close debate against this amendment. If there are any delegates wishing to speak against this amendment, please raise your hands now. The delegate of Russia, you have been recognized.
The delegate of Russia urges every single member state present to vote against this resolution as against this amendment, as they believe that this amendment goes against the entire resolution and stops. The delegate of Russia believes that this stops education from happening again about food loss and food wastage, and is counterproductive to the entire resolution as a whole. And voting for this amendment is basically voting against the resolution.
Thank you, delegate. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
1 point of information.
The delegate has opened himself up to 2 points of information. If there are any such points of information on the floor, please raise your hands now. Just real quick, the delegate of Portugal, your hand is raised, but it was before. Okay, thank you. The delegate of France, you have been recognized.
The delegate would like to clarify, or is the delegate of Russia aware that we're voting for an amendment, not for the resolution? So how is voting against an amendment how is voting for an amendment voting against the resolution as a whole? The delegate of France clearly stated at the beginning of their speech that they agree with the rest of the resolution. They just wish to remove this part, this small sub clause from the resolution. So how is removing a small sub clause from the resolution going against the whole resolution when the delegate clearly stated that they agree with the rest of the resolution?
The delegate of Russia believes that every single sub clause matters, and that going against this sub clause goes against the principles of the resolution, and apologizes for the misunderstanding of France disagreeing with the entire resolution as a whole.
Right to reply?
Granted.
The delegate also stated that removing this subclause would not educate people about food wastage and would reduce people's education on the subject as a whole. However, the delegate does not see how just not educating people on health eating habits on this matter, the delegate removing this subclause would not remove education about the subject as whole on as food wastage, since the subject is much greater than just eating habits.
The delegate of Russia would like to remind the delegate of France that the question of the resolution is promoting the economic production and consumption of food as a means to alleviate food wastage. Healthy and unhealthy eating habits are principles that surround alleviating food wastage. If you are not educating them on healthy and unhealthy eating habits, then obviously children are going to learn to waste and become they're not going to be compliant, and they the problem will just increase tenfold.
Thank you, delegate. Does the delegate yield the floor to the chair? Russia, do you yield the floor to the chair?
Yes, the delegate yielded so.
Thank you. Are there any delegates in the House wishing to speak against this amendment? Please raise your placard hands now. The delegate of Portugal, you have been recognized.
The delegate believes this amendment is useless and absurd. Educating people about healthy and unhealthy eating habits will only help the reduction of food wastage, which is why this amendment must be voted against by the council. Thank you.
Is the delegate open to any points of information?
The delegate is open to 1 point of information.
The delegate has opened herself up to 1 point of information. If there are any such points on the floor, please raise your hands now. Delegates, I would just like to emphasize that when I ask you to raise your hands, when to ask a point of information, please do it after I say now, just to avoid any confusion. Canada, were you trying to ask a point of information?
Yes.
All right, the delegate of Canada, you have been recognized.
The delegation of Canada commends the delegations of Russia, Ethiopia, and Portugal on a well-written and thorough resolution. However, the delegation of Canada does believe that the amendment should pass because children negatively impacting children's mental health is a problem that is very relevant to modern society. And in forcing children to learn about teaching children about portion control as such may cause children to internalize this thought and actually creates a bigger problem than it could have solved.
The delegate is in no way stating that it's going to harm anybody's mental health, delegate. The delegate is just suggesting to educate people about healthy and unhealthy eating habits in order to reduce food wastage. In no way did the delegates of Ethiopia, Russia, and Portugal ever say anything about harming anyone's mental health, sorry.
Thank you, delegate. There has been a second amendment, an amendment to the second degree has been sent to Zainab, so she will add that to the screen and we will enter closed debate for the amendment to the second degree. And the chair would like to remind the room that if the amendment to the second degree passes, then the amendment as a whole also passes. And if the amendment to the second degree does not pass, then we will continue closed debate for the first amendment.
So the thing is, because it's on the suggested mode, I can't like exactly delete it. So can I just like highlight it, guys? So the highlighted part is deleted. That's the amendment to the second degree. Is that fine?
To delete and unhealthy.
Yeah.
So maybe like, okay, yeah, that works.
Like it doesn't let me raise it.
All right.
Chair,
That's
may the co-chair please make that amendment pass for the moment being and strike it through as normal text and then make the edit on it so we can see clearly what the amendment would be, if that makes sense.
Zainab, you could then like strike the rest of the clause to just like show the First Amendment. Thank you. Sorry, who submitted this?
Benin.
Would the delegate of Benin please speak for this amendment to the second degree?
The delegate of Benin believes that there must be a middle pathway between the conflict of Russia, Ethiopia, Portugal, and the delegate of France. The delegate of Benin believes that this is a great way to approach it, as healthy eating habits would cover facts such as how the limitations of the human body, and not approaches any other factors um, which is taken offense to anyone who is being told or being helped with healthy and unhealthy eating habits. That there doesn't have to be any categorization of that. Healthy eating habits would just cover what the delegate of Russia, Ethiopia, and Portugal are trying to say, and would also respect the delegate of France with it. There would be no distinction between the both. And the delegate of Benin would encourage everyone to look at this as a great way to move forward on this resolution and make it a better resolution instead of debating on a sub clause, which can be come upon and made better with friendly amendments, and we can go on from it. The delegate of Benin would also clarify that when saying healthy eating habits, it would mean things such as it wouldn't offend anyone of who eats more or less. It just educates and makes them aware of the fact that the human body has its limits, and overeating or over consuming is not good for it, and just covers the benefits and the good parts of it. The delegate of Benin would try to use this as a way to not pinpoint on people or offend them. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
The delegate of Benin is open to 2 points of information.
The delegate of Benin has opened herself up to 2 points of information. If there are any such points, please raise your hands now. The delegate of Colombia, you have been recognized.
Does the delegate of Benin not believe that to fully understand the benefits of healthy eating, that we need to understand to understand how unhealthy eating also affects us?
The delegate of Benin is aware of it, but would like to also suggest that this is a great way to move forward from this conflicting idea between the delegate of France and the delegates of Russia, Ethiopia, and Portugal. Healthy eating habits would also cover the limitations of the human body, which would also further tell the people who are being taught that, okay, there are some limitations to the human body and how it works, and that's why we're going to put it under healthy eating habits, so it doesn't offend the person.
Thank you, delegate. I would just like to make the House aware that Sebastian, our co-chair, he is having some internet problems, so he won't be here. So if you need to ask a chair anything or have anything fact checked, Zainab will do that now. He should be back hopefully soon, but we'll get to that later. Are there any delegates in the House wishing to speak for this amendment to the second degree? If so, please raise your hands now. The delegate of Greece, you have been recognized.
Point of information to the chair.
Yes.
May we please request the limitations of the human body surrounding food?
Sorry, could you repeat that question?
Can I please get a fact check on the limitations of the body surrounding food?
Okay, Zainab will then send a note to you. So if the delegate of Greece would please speak for this amendment to the second degree.
The delegation of Greece agrees with this amendment to the second degree, as the delegate of Greece believes that this will foster a supportive atmosphere which promotes the health of both the environment and of the person, rather than polarizing food into a good and a bad.
Thank you, delegate. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
No.
The delegate has opened herself up to 1 point of information. If there are any such points, please raise your hands now. The delegate of Portugal, you have been recognized.
Does the delegate of Greece not believe that in order to understand what healthy eating habits are, one must also understand what unhealthy eating habits are?
The delegation of Greece believes that if a child is told what is healthy, they will accept it and they will continue to do so, and they don't need to be told that this is bad.
Thank you, delegate.
Point of information, point of personal privilege due to audibility. Can the delegate please repeat themselves?
Yeah. Would the delegate of Greece please respond to the delegate of Portugal's question?
Could the delegate of Portugal please repeat her question, for I've forgotten it.
Would the delegate of Portugal please restate their point of information?
Does the delegate not believe that in order to understand what healthy eating habits are, one must also understand what unhealthy eating habits are?
The delegation believes that if a child learns what healthy eating habits are, they will do so, and they don't need to be given the negative, unsupportive atmosphere where they polarize food into unhealthy and healthy.
Right of reply.
Grant.
But then does the delegate not believe that, or is the delegate not worried that one or even a child might be doing unhealthy eating habits without even knowing it themselves?
Point of personal privilege. Could the delegate please repeat her question because of audibility?
Would the delegate of Portugal please repeat their point of information?
Is the delegate not worried then that a child might be showing unhealthy eating habits without even knowing it themselves if you don't teach it to them? If one doesn't teach, yeah.
Thank you, delegate.
The delegation of Greece believes that if they are taught what is healthy, then they will know by default what isn't.
Thank you. Are there any other delegates in the House wishing to speak for this amendment to the second degree? If so, please raise your hands now. The delegate of France, you have been recognized.
The delegate of France fully agrees with this amendment to the second degree, as it does find common ground between the two conflicting sides. The delegate does agree that not teaching children the unhealthy side of eating habits will prevent affecting children's mental health, and does in fact end up helping them and increasing their habits in a good way without affecting their mental health. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
1 point of information.
The delegate has opened herself up to 1 point of information. If there are any such points on the floor, please raise your hands now. All right, as there are no delegates wishing to ask a point of information, we will move into closed debate against this amendment to the second degree. So if there are any delegates wishing to speak against this amendment to the second degree, please raise your hands now. The delegate of Russia, you have been recognized.
The delegate of Russia would like to thank Portugal for stating that one needs to learn unhealthy eating habits as well as healthy eating habits, and would like to reiterate this to the delegate of Benin and ask the delegate of Benin to reconsider her amendment. The delegate of Russia believes that this amendment to the second degree and the amendment to the first degree both need to be voted against, as they are crucial to the resolution as a whole, and does not believe that this is common ground between the delegate of France and the delegates of Russia, Ethiopia, and Portugal.
Thank you, delegate. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
No, the delegate is not open to any points of information.
Michelle. Okay, the delegate has opened himself up to 1 point of information. If there are any such points of information on the floor, please raise your hands now. Oh. The delegate of Benin, you have been recognized.
The delegate of Benin would like to ask the delegate of Russia that if the delegate is aware that when you spread awareness about something good, it spreads thoroughly, and healthy eating habits would itself does talk about the limitations to the human body. It would, as we know, when eating has its own limits, you cannot overeat, you cannot undereat, you must eat to your potential or how much the body wants. Making it healthy eating habits would just help in categorizing it in a better way, and also this is a common ground between the delegates of, and if he's aware that this gets us into a common ground between the delegates of Russia, Ethiopia, Portugal, and the delegate of France.
The delegate of Russia finds your statements contradictory, as you had previously stated it doesn't affect the mental aware. As the
Sorry,
delegate,
please
refrain from
using personal pronouns.
As the delegate of Russia believes the delegate of Benin had previously stated, this is not about a mental illness and indoctrinating, as I understand it, children. But if you are saying what you had just said, if you can repeat, I do not remember the exact word. If the delegate of Benin can repeat, I do not remember the exact wording. It contradicts it and makes it as if you are indoctrinating children. So this is why I do not understand the delegate of Benin opposing my argument, the delegate of Russia's argument.
Yes, delegate, please refrain. Sorry, please refrain from using personal pronouns. Also, my co-chair Zainab had a question concerning your fact check, the delegate of Russia's fact check. What was she supposed to look up again?
The delegate of Russia requested as to relating to the delegates of Benin's statement saying that the human body has limitations to eating. He would like to know what the limitations exactly are, as he does not know of these limitations.
Okay, thank you. Did you get that, Zainab? All right, thank you. Okay, does the delegate of Russia yield the floor to the chair?
The delegate of Russia would like to yield the podium, the floor, to the delegate of Ethiopia.
Does the delegate of Ethiopia accept this yield?
Yes, the delegate of Ethiopia accepts this yield.
Will the delegate of
delegate
Ethiopia
of
then?
Yes, the delegate of Ethiopia would like to share the agreement with the delegate of Portugal, the delegate of Russia, in saying that this clause should not be stricken from the resolution, as it is trying to contribute to the elimination of food waste and loss and further solve this issue. The delegate of Ethiopia believes that if children are educated on a healthy diet, this will help them to understand conscious food consumption and to not waste food. Therefore, the delegate of Ethiopia urges all countries present to vote against the amendment to the second degree and against the amendment to the first degree for this sub-clause.
Thank you, delegate. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
The delegate is open to 1 point of information.
The delegate has opened herself up to 1 point of information. If there are any in the house, would you please raise your hand now? The delegate of Canada, you have been recognized.
The delegation of Canada would like the delegate of Ethiopia to define unhealthy eating habits.
The delegate of Ethiopia would define unhealthy eating habits as the opposite of healthy eating habits. Healthy eating habits would be having a balanced diet and practicing conscious consumption.
Right to reply?
Granted.
Would mental illnesses such as anorexia and bulimia be considered under unhealthy eating habits?
Could the delegate point a personal privilege due to audibility?
Yes. Would the delegate of Canada please restate their point of information?
Would mental illnesses such as unhealthy eating habits such as bulimia and anorexia be considered under unhealthy eating habits?
The delegate of Ethiopia would like to reiterate that the purpose of this clause is to educate children on conscious consumption to reduce food waste, and it does not intend to offend anyone regarding mental illnesses, and mental illnesses such as anorexia and bulimia may not exactly fall under unhealthy eating habits as long as conscious consumption is practiced.
Motion to extend point of information.
Denied due to time constraints. Thank you, delegates. The chair would just like to make the House aware that we have a break at 3:15 and that today ends at 4 o'clock. So there isn't that much time, which is why the chair would recommend that there be a motion to move to previous question at this time.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Mhm.
Chair, does motion to move to previous question regard voting on this amendment to the second degree?
Amendment to the second degree. And then if that passes, we will then accept the whole amendment. If it fails, we will go back to closed debate for the original amendment. Okay, is there, was someone, yeah.
Motion to move to the previous question?
The chair would like to remind the House that the motion has to be seconded.
Second.
Thank you. We will now move into voting procedures. Okay. Those wishing to vote for this amendment to the second degree, please raise your hands now. Those wishing to vote against this amendment to the second degree, please raise your hands now. Given that it was 4
Motion
to
to divide the
4,
House.
did someone second that?
Second.
All
Second it.
Thank you. So we will now divide the House, and I will go down the list of countries present, and you must say either yay or nay. Okay, here we go. Delegate of Benin.
Yeah.
The delegate of Canada?
Yay.
The delegate of Colombia?
Nay.
The delegate of Ethiopia?
A point of personal privilege, the delegate of Ethiopia's connection is very poor and did not hear on which amendment we are voting for or what these voting procedures
Right.
are for.
So we are currently voting for or against the amendment to the second degree. So removing and unhealthy.
Nay. Yeah,
Thank you.
nay.
The delegate of Germany?
Nay.
Delegate of Greece?
Yay.
Delegate of India?
Yay.
Delegate of Japan?
Nay.
Delegate of Kenya?
The delegate of Kenya got kicked out of the call because she had internet problems.
Wait, who said that?
Kenya got kicked out.
Wait. Oh, she did?
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Germany. I'll try and contact her. Or Michelle, could you do that? Contact Misha. Okay. The delegate of Portugal.
She's in the bathroom.
We'll get back to her. Okay, so she's the last one.
I wasn't called upon again.
The delegate of Russia was also not asked to vote.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Yes, there you are. The delegate of Russia.
Okay,
Nay.
she just came back.
All right. The delegate of Portugal.
Nay.
Due to
Delegate wasn't called upon again.
sorry, was someone talking?
Yes,
What?
the delegate of France was not.
Oh, France. I'm so sorry. The delegate of France.
Yay.
Okay, the amendment fails by 1 vote. Clapping is not in order. I don't even know if it would be in order since we're online. We will now move into closed debate for the original amendment.
Motion to move to previous question.
Seconded.
Seconded.
All right.
Seconded.
We will now move into voting procedures for the original amendment. Everyone wishing to vote for this amendment, please raise your hands now. Everyone wishing to vote against this amendment, please raise your hands now. Due to an overwhelming majority, this amendment fails. Clapping is not in order. Okay, so this is actually a great time. It's break now, so I'll see you guys in like 15 minutes, okay? And then we'll be back in just open debate. Thank you guys.
Oh, that was
Bye.
fun.
Misha, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi.
Yeah,
When did you leave?
sorry, I don't know one just froze, and then it just kicked me completely off the Zoom.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. So what happened, what you missed is we were debating an amendment and then an amendment to the second degree. And the amendment to the second degree failed. So we're going to continue debating the amendment. But right now we're actually all in break. But that breaks over in like 5 minutes. But yeah, so just be here in 5 minutes. Hi, is everyone there? Can you please turn your cameras on? Come here. So unprofessional. Okay. Hmm?
And I have to turn it on too.
What? Your camera? Yeah, fine. Okay, we'll just wait for everyone to show up and turn their cameras on. Do any of you know if Portugal is here?
Yes, Portugal is in the room. She's just having a difficulty, but she's present.
What's wrong?
She's fixing her earphones, and like
Okay,
she's
do you know-
connecting them to the thing. But she just turn your camera on. Okay.
Thank you. All right. Do we have everyone, guys? Do we have everyone? Okay, let's do a roll call just to see if we have everyone. Okay, ready? Is Benin here?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll say present and voting. This is roll call. Okay.
Sorry. That's just okay. President voting.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Canada.
Voting.
What did you say? Sorry, could you repeat yourself?
Present and voting.
Thank you.
Isabel, we can't hear you. I think she froze. The admins had to leave. I don't know why. I'll just let them in now.
Unless the Wi-Fi at ASIJ crashed, because all of them have left.
Yeah, I think so. There's probably load shedding or something.
If there is load shedding, they should be back shortly.
Yeah, probably they're waiting for the generators to start. But should I do roll call or? I'll just wait for them.
Are we basically just going to do register to go offline again because it said today ends at 4?
Yeah, but just wait for them.
Okay, cool.
Wait. I'll text Isabel to see what's wrong. Yeah, all of their internet cut out, of course, but yeah. Where's Sebastian? Yeah, I asked her if she was coming back. She didn't see my message, so we'll wait. The thing is, I would do roll call, but I don't have the full list of countries. And I'm sure that I don't think this is everyone.
France is missing.
Mariam, are you at ASJ right now, or is your internet at home is that wrong, or is that not working? I mean,
No, it's just my internet at home.
so guys, I'll be running the debate. Can you mute? Yeah. Okay. I can hear myself. Is it fine now? Yeah. So I'll do the roll call. She's sending me the list of countries right now. But I'll just do ones that I see right now. Okay, the delegate of Benin. Guys.
Present and voting.
The delegate of Canada.
Present and voting.
Okay, after Canada, what do we have? The delegate of Colombia.
Present.
The delegate of Greece.
Present.
The delegate of Germany.
Present.
The delegate of Ethiopia.
Present and voting.
Delegate of India.
Present and voting.
The delegate of Russia.
Present and voting.
Delegate of Japan.
Present and voting.
The delegate of Portugal.
Present.
Yeah, I have to learn my ABCs again. That was not in alphabetical order. The delegate, wait, did I say everyone in here right now?
No, not Kenya.
Oh, the delegate of Kenya, I'm sorry.
Present.
We will now move on to the amendment submitted by the delegate of the delegate of Canada. You know how you withdrew an amendment? Do you want to just do that? Or do you guys want to vote on this resolution? Guys?
Can the chair please repeat what she said?
I was just saying, asking the delegate of Canada, they submitted an amendment but withdrew it. So we don't have any amendments on this resolution right now. So if the delegate of Canada does not want to resubmit their amendment, we will be moving on to voting procedures for this. Oh wait, Isabel is coming back, so yeah.
The delegate of Canada stands by the withdrawal of this amendment.
The delegates of Japan had proposed an amendment to the chair.
Oh, yeah. Okay, then we'll do that. I can't. There's so many tech messages I can't see. Yes. Okay. I already typed that. I'll just project that.
Hi guys, so sorry about that. Our internet totally gave out. What's going on?
So we're gonna do the delegates of Japan's amendment, and we don't have any more amendments. So yeah, we'll probably vote on it.
Okay, got it. Also, just a heads up, our internet might cut out again, so just be prepared for that. Has the delegate of Japan spoken yet?
No.
All right, so then here we go. Would the delegate of Japan please speak for this resolution?
Well, firstly, the delegates of Japan would like to recognize and congratulate the efforts of Russia, Ethiopia, and Portugal in the writing of this resolution, but would like to propose an an 8th clause as an amendment to strongly recommend the governments of countries to implement a tax on households with above average food wastage to further reduce food wastage within the countries in the citizen sector.
Thank you, delegate. Does the delegate want to speak for their amendment?
Yes, the delegate will speak for our amendment. We just believe that as the delegates of Japan, we believe that introducing a tax to households with above average food wastage will further reduce food wastage within countries, because just as an added point to the rest of the resolution, you now involve individual citizens, which make up a much larger proportion of the nation's food wastage than restaurants do, and the other points that were suggested in the resolution. So as the delegates of Japan, we felt that this would make a greater impact on reducing food wastage around the world.
Thank you, delegate. Are the delegates open to any and all points of information?
Yes, we are open to any and all points of information.
If there are any points in the floor at this moment, please raise your placard, the hands now. The delegates of Russia, sorry guys, because I'm sharing, I can't see. Is it on the participants? Okay. The delegates of Russia, Ethiopia, and Portugal in that order, please.
The delegate of Russia thanks the delegates of Japan for their support of this resolution, but would like to ask, how does the delegate of Japan propose that governments would be checking the food wastage of households? The delegate of Russia believes that this is absurd, as government officials cannot be digging in household bins to check if food was wasted.
As a reply to that, what the delegates of Japan propose as an idea is something that we've already seen implemented around the world in places like South Korea, where governments have placed mandatory bins that are to be used for food wastage by citizens, which weigh your food wastage as they're placed in them, and thus and then over time you can calculate who has above average food wastage, and that allows the governments to monitor the amounts of food wastage within each household without having to physically be there or rummage through their dustbins.
Right to reply.
Granted.
The delegate of Russia does not understand how this would be possible in countries that are not as developed as South Korea and do not have such technologies, such as third world countries in Africa, as well as much larger countries such as Russia, as we do not have the facilities to place that all over our country. The delegate of Russia would also like to ask the delegates of Japan as to why they did not place this under clause 2, if I'm not correct, as if the delegate of Russia is not correct, as this is a policy.
So we accept the part about placing it under a policy. I think that as delegates of Japan, we acknowledge that that could be implemented as a policy rather than a clause, and accept that term. However, you did mention in the resolution prior to this that you will be asking for funding and help from the UN to implement these kind of food shortage changes anyways. So asking for money for bins within less economically developed countries that would need the assistance for funding is already part of your resolution and would not make much of a significant difference to the proposal you are hoping to put forward in this resolution.
Right to reply.
Denied due to time constraints. The delegate of Japan, please refrain from using personal pronouns. And the delegate of Ethiopia.
Firstly, the delegate of Ethiopia would like to thank the delegates of Japan for their support of this resolution. However, the delegate of Ethiopia would like to point out that although in the resolution it has stated for increased donations, it has been about innovations and technologies to mitigate the negative effects of global food waste on the planet, and not to cover things such as implementation of food wastage bins in developing countries. So the delegate of Ethiopia would like to ask the delegates of Japan how they plan to implement these food wastage bins in developing countries and countries without as many resources.
The delegate of Japan understands your points, but would like to ask you in return how you as the delegate, how the delegate of Ethiopia feels that implementing these types of dustbins that measure food wastage and send this information to the government is not in fact a technology.
The delegate of Ethiopia does agree that this could be a
right of reply.
Oh, yeah. I guess right to reply.
Granted.
Okay. The delegate of Ethiopia would in turn like to ask a question that would these technologies or these bins be implemented for every single household, or rather one bin per area that households would share?
The delegates of Japan propose that these dustbins be implemented on a community-based scale, where you have 1 or 2 bins per community, and as a community of citizens, you ensure that your food wastage is below the average, the regional average for food wastage per capita of people within that community. So that's the amount of infrastructure and spending on this technology can be reduced while still reaching the same effects that are desired by.
Right to reply.
Denied due to time constraints. The delegate of Portugal.
Point of information to the chair.
Yes, delegate.
The delegate would like to retract their statement due to it already being asked by the delegate of Russia.
Okay, thank you, the delegate of Portugal. Do the delegates of Japan yield the floor to the chair?
Yes.
Motion to move to previous question.
Someone seconded, please. We will now be, so the previous question would be speaking against. Any delegates wishing to speak against this amendment, please raise your placards now. Ethiopia, is your hand coming from the question, or do you want to speak against?
Oh, my hand was from the delegate of Ethiopia's hand was from the question, but does not mind speaking against this.
Then it's fine. We will have the delegate of Benin speak against. Guys, can you please keep it short due to time constraints?
The delegate of Benin does not agree with this amendment, as it supports the delegate of Russia and Ethiopia on the stance of it being a bit too absurd to be carried out, as household wastage is very common and it is on a scale that is unmeasurable. To measure such things as a community, you must rely on the community, but how accurate would the results be? How are we relying on the community? How can you just blindly trust the community to actually pursue and take upon this to reduce food wastage, as food wastage has to be an external affair whereby it's being discussed as an issue. If we had to rely on communities to take care of it, we would have done that as a country. But since it's become a global issue, it has to be handled externally. And though this solution may seem applicable, it does not work out. And so the delegate of Benin would strongly stand against this amendment, and would also request the other delegates to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. Isabel, do you want to take over?
Yeah, okay, so we are debating time against this amendment, is that it?
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Okay, guys, we have like 6 minutes. I would recommend
Motion
that
to
we.
move to previous question and vote on this amendment.
Second.
All right, we will move into voting procedures. Everyone wishing to vote for this amendment, please raise your hands now. Okay. Anyone wishing to vote against this amendment, please raise your hands now. Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're voting for this amendment, right? So anyone wishing to vote for this amendment, please raise your hands now.
If you can't see it, can you see the?
Oh yeah. Oh, I can't see it. Okay.
Okay, I'll just. Oh wait, you're not host. That's why. Do you want me to just do it for now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I saw the votes, and due to an overwhelming majority, this amendment fails. Clapping is not in order. We will now move on to voting on the clause as a whole. Any delegates wishing to vote for this resolution as a whole, please raise your hands now.
I'm not.
Oh, thank you.
Against? Due to an overwhelming majority, this resolution passes. Clapping is in order.
Okay, so
Okay, thank you guys. We are, so the day's over at 4, so we're pretty much done. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for a great first day. Well, second day, but first day of debating. Really proud of all you guys. Also, don't forget the confessional thing.
Yes, guys, send as many as you can.
You can literally write anything. It's really fun. It's a great way to end the conference. Please send, yes, give us tea, as Michelle so kindly put it. See you guys
It's
tomorrow.
really
Thank you.
fun by the end of the day. Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.